Sen här som allihopa ni är välkomna till en ny video. Jag tar fel level. Idag ska jag nämligen fortsätta med att unlocka de här stjärnorna. Yellow coins. Jag tänkte stoppa det. Först minuter. Just nu sitter jag på turen. Nu har min... Jag sitter inte på turen, jag drar ut det. Eller jag bara lurar. Jag kan nämligen försöka exakt alla coins. Som jag tror att jag är en YouTube-serie. Jag bara med nummer nu så jag klipper tills jag hittar ett bra videoklipp. Så vi syns då.
Hey Rockers, Sander here from Fire Rocker Studios, and today we're going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Jag vet det här är på engelska men...
Five Nights at Freddy's because we have a very big topic, and that is the Bone Guy, the secret character, the murderer. So I'm going to be going over everything that I know about him, and I want you guys to get involved in the comments as well, letting me know everything you know, because I don't want to make myself to be the most informed Five Nights at Freddy's guy. I just know a lot about the game, but probably not as much as some of you guys want.
Jag kan ändå subscribe honom.
Bone Guy, he is actually, let me go ahead and show you guys this picture right here on your screen. This is something that a lot of you guys have actually been sending me pictures about. Now, of course, I did a video on the endoskeleton, and a lot of you guys were talking about it. Now, even more of you guys have been talking about this. So this looks to be the shadow of the Bone Guy, as you can see right over here. It's got kind of like an adult body. Now, there's a bunch of things about the Bone Guy, a bunch of different theories. So this video is going to be me explaining everything that I have heard. I'm not saying these are facts. They're all pretty much just theories and little things that have been talked about. So make sure to slap that like button. Share this video with your friends. Let them know a little bit more about this. And let's see if we can get to 1,000 likes. That is the like goal. Now, I do want to say before I start this video, there's a lot to talk about. I'm going to be giving away a copy of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 on Steam. So in your comments, make sure that at the very end, leave your Steam name. I'm going to be picking one lucky person, and I will be replying to your comments, adding...
Death sucks. But what happens to your body after you die is fascinating. So we're going to show you. Don't worry, it won't be gross. Much. Once a person's breathing stops, the cells in their body stop receiving oxygen. But the cells continue to live for several minutes, generating carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is acidic, and it builds up, rupturing sacs inside the cells. These sacs contain enzymes that begin to digest the cells from inside. This creates a blister-like fluid rich in nutrients. After about a week, those nutrients fuel an army of bacteria and fungi that further liquefy organs and muscles. The microbes that attack the tissue produce a bewildering array of more than 400 chemicals and gases. They include freon, that's right, the coolant found in refrigerators. Benzene, a powerful component in gasoline. Sulfur, which smells of swamps and rotten eggs. And a molecule known as carbon tetrachloride, which was used in fire extinguishers and dry cleaning until scientists discovered it's highly toxic. At this point, there's very little flesh left, and it's consumed by, here it comes, maggots and beetles. The insects leave only bones behind. Over time, the protein in bone decomposes too, leaving just the bone mineral called hydroxyapatite, which eventually turns to dust. We can take some solace in the fact that all those nutrients and chemicals, even the dust, provide vital substances that make soils fertile, sprouting plants and other new life after our lives have ended. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
What are you guys playing?
I'm supposed to be playing Game of War, but this one player keeps kicking my ass. Is it the Legend 27? Yeah, the Legend 27.
Before we start today's video, I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone that pre-ordered
ordered one of the green cubes. I was pretty nervous about making some merchandise, but it went down really, really well with everyone. The project is now going ahead and these are in production, but it's not too late to go and get one. The sale ends pretty soon, and every pre-order sale gets one of these signed green cards from me thanking you for pre-ordering the purchase. However, time is running out, so if you did want one, there's links down below. So the new snapshot introduced shulker boxes, which are a pretty interesting and unique block. Here I've got all the different color variants, and they have a very interesting texture, which is what the premise of this video is going to be about. The original doesn't actually have one part of the texture, which is pretty interesting, but the rest of them can be dyed. I'll quickly show you what you can do with them. You can actually put items inside them, and then see what was inside by hovering over it. Place it back down and you still have your stuff. It's a chest that doesn't release all your stuff. To craft it, you put 2 shulker shells and a chest in the middle. Once you've crafted it, you can then dye it to whatever color you want within these 16 colors. So that's basically shulkers in a nutshell, but where can we use them in terms of building? Well, we've had a few ideas, the crew and I, and the first one is the use in a modern house. We thought the texture suited a garage door or front pretty well. Now, normally I'd use iron blocks, but the texture's pretty interesting. It's got this weird line which you can shape to your heart's desire. So on the right-hand side here, we've got these T-shape, and on the left, we've got these just straight lines. I still think iron blocks have their place. This is an idea for a functional mailbox. Now, you can't put shulker boxes inside shulker boxes, so you can't have infinite storage, but it does increase the storage a lot. The underside of a shulker box has an odd swirling texture, so I thought the red one on its side looks like a pretty good target for bow and arrows. It's probably the best we're ever going to get in terms of a target for a single block. Anything else would have to be much larger. This is an idea for a kitchen or shulker box's uses in kitchens. It would have to be fairly industrial because the segmented texture makes really good pipes, especially the grey ones. Another couple of uses for shulker boxes in the kitchen is one behind an iron door to simulate a fridge, and the other is an upside down red one to look like a stove. And you could actually use these functionally to store whatever you want, food in particular, for this kitchen. A pretty nice idea. Now, the brown shulker boxes actually look like cardboard boxes. So gone are the days where we're forced to use crafting benches, jukeboxes, or these other handmade crates, because these actually look like cardboard boxes. Now, shulker boxes are very expensive, so you will want to use them sparingly. Another interesting fact is, when it's night, you can pass any light source through shulker boxes. This is incredibly unique. It's another way to use lighting. Normally you'd have to put it over a carpet or a slab or something like that to make it work, but this is the first block, I believe, that light passes straight through without question. The underside of the shulker box, as I said earlier, has a very unique texture, and I think it's got a lot of applications for decorating floors. Having a pattern is going to be awesome. Now, this texture almost doesn't fit in Minecraft. It looks like an old disco one, if any of you remember him, but the texture itself could have some very big implications for people that are very creative with their texturing, and I'll come back to this a bit later. It also makes pretty fantastic wheels on cars. Because of that, again, that swirling texture, it's pretty unique. Now, depending on what color car you have, you can put a shulker box on the back, and it would make a pretty good trunk or boot, depending on where you're from. Again, it's one of those functional storage that doesn't have to be a chest, so it blends in a lot nicer. I just think it's a nice touch. These shulker boxes have really upped the game, but they can be used as purely decorative tools. Now, you could use stained clay in these situations for some, say, traffic lights, but the texture of the top of these actually looks a little better than the stained clay, which I'll kind of put next to them to compare. Now, from that point on, I think it's personal preference. I think both of them work, although they both offer something slightly different. The shulker boxes have different textures all around, which may not be what you're after. Now, this one's more of a technical idea. You can start a redstone circuit by using a shulker box. If you open it, there you go, I've managed to trigger this redstone circuit and open the door. Now, the way I've done this is by having a minecart be pushed by the shulker box opening. Now, I'm not sure what you clever redstone people will do with this idea, but simply pushing that onto a detector rail will send a pulse, and that's pretty unique. I mean, you can have the trap chest send a signal, but this is a little bit different to that. I just think it was a neat little thing there for anyone that likes to do redstone. Maybe you can come up with something pretty awesome with that technique. So next up is not to do with this building, but what's on top of the building. I wanted to elaborate on the kitchen that we talked about earlier with the pipes. Now you can use them as vents for the top of high-rise buildings. Because of that swirly texture and the segmented texture, this really suits for this kind of design. Whether it's to have those big vents or just pipes that go up and then back into the building, or to have them as chimneys or whatever you want. I just think they look really in place on top of a building, even this one which is just a residential area. Now this next one is actually pretty interesting. I want to build on what I talked about earlier about being able to use these very interesting textures for floor designs. This was actually made by Epic Melon, and he accidentally created something very, very awesome for reasons I will show you in a minute. But what we wanted to display here was the fact that you've got a very...
Nu var tillbaks, men det här var nog allt för den här videon. Ja. Så snart, det finns choklad där nere och snart börjar roliga videon, så jag ska nog sluta så. Hej då.